When one is a teacher, a magister, a one who provides tutorials and didactics, juridical pedagogy, and the like, it is sometimes important to repeat the essence. The word is the gravamen, the essence of the indictment. What is this about? It is important to sometimes repeat so that people understand through all of the fog and all of the haze and all of the smoke and mirrors and cacophony and the screams and the prattle and the palaver and the prolix and all of this. It is important to understand what the essence of the issue is regarding the Tyler Robinson prosecution. Not who killed Charlie. That will not be determined in the Tyler Robinson trial. Tyler Robinson trial determines whether the state of Utah can prove beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt that Tyler Robinson committed aggravated murder. That's what it's about. It's not about drop and roll. It's not about whether they cleared out an emergency room. That's important for the whodunit. That's important for the, I hope, I can only hope, the documentary that I hope Candace produces and others. I hope it is that. I hope that becomes a part of it. I hope that is it. Because remember what I told you. The issues are multiple ringed circuses. The first ring is who done it, who killed him, what's why, who, what, where, when, that sort of thing. The second is the criminal prosecution. Do they even have the right guy? But can they prove it? That's all. It's like it's a very simple. You look through the prism box of this, so to speak. It's very, very simple. The third iteration, the third ring, is the characters involved, TPUSA and Erica and all of that kind of crazy lunacy, which is fun. The next issue is, of course, Candace. Why is she blamed? Why is she hated? Why is she loathed? And then the fifth ring could be kind of an all of the above or kind of combinations thereof. That is it. And today I'm going to say that Tyler Robinson will be acquitted. No gun, not guilty. That's simple. I mean, it's a very, 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 very simple. No gun, not guilty. Period. End of discussion. It doesn't get any more simple than that. That's it. It's not even complicated. Now, sometimes, as I will explain to you, sometimes you might be able to have, you might be able to have something which shows perhaps an inconclusive connection between the alleged weapon that is used and the weapon or the rounds that were recovered. That is possible. I will show you how that happens in a very kind of a unique way, but I will show you how that could happen. But that's not the case here. That's not the case here. So I just want you to sit there and say, well, that's nice, but what about the rifle? What about the gun? What about, that's it. Because they're turning you away from it. And while and by the way, kudos, plaudits, thank you, Candace, for bringing us up to speed and then to this. That has nothing to do with what's going on as to the prosecution. Sit back, my friend, as I explain. Sit back as we review this as the world collapses. See what's happening in Spain? Do you see what's happening? It has begun. The world is coming apart. This is not an exaggeration. And when I talk to you about the necessity of having emergency food, emergency supplies, and generators, and all of and that sort of thing, it makes complete sense. So listen carefully. The world is about to explode. Wars expand, shipping lanes close, supply chains break, fuel and fertilizer prices surge, crops fail, power grids go down, And then you reach the grocery store, and guess what? You find nothing left. Could you go 1 week without your local grocery store? A month? 6 months? That could never happen, right? Nah, no. Famous last words. So what happens when there's a blackout or a cyber attack or a storm or a quarantine or a shelter in place, an order that traps you at home? Panic is not a plan. Preparation is. And I'm not talking about banana chips and beef jerky. My Patriot Supply's 6-month emergency food supply provides you right now with more than 2,000 calories a day, 22 meal varieties, and food designated to last up to 25 years. Call it conspiracy theory or tinfoil prepper lunacy. You know I'm right. I know I'm right. Save $250 right now. Click the link below. Prepare with Lionel now. Now, my friends, let me see if I can bring you up to speed in a couple of things. These are very exciting times to pay attention right now. These are very exciting times. Times that I cannot, frankly, put into words and explain to you how exciting they are. I mean that. It's one of those things that I find absolutely incredible. I want, if at all possible, for you to recognize something. I am not one of these people who loves to sit back and just pretend and portend doom. That is not my thing. I'm not someone who loves to be a doomsayer. Here's some great ones for you if you'd like to. A Cassandra. Remember the Cassandra? Cassandra is the woman, the daughter of, I can't confuse, Zeus or whatever, who was cursed with never being believed. I don't predict things necessarily. I'm not Pythonic. I'm not Vatic. I don't augur the future. I don't read the entrails of the beast. I don't do that. But I look and I see what's going on now. And I have a little bit, maybe a little bit of a kind of a view of what's happening, but I'm not really able to sit here. And I'm not one who just loves to say, "Oh, this is the end, the end of a world." But I must tell you something, and just to bring you up to speed before we get into this, this is really critical. You are seeing right now an orchestrated collapse of the world. Spain, for example, is confronting an extraordinary border emergency after tens of thousands of illegals entered Ceuta, just all kinds of pronounced Ceuta. It's North African enclave bordering Morocco. So within roughly 24 hours, estimates range from 30,000 to nearly 60,000 humans swarming, overwhelming police, overwhelming hospitals, reception facilities. At least 41 people reportedly died, many while swimming around border barriers or trying to build a stampede. And this is Ceuta and Melilla, and I'm not going to get a Spanish pronunciation, but they form the EU's only land borders with Africa. That's why I always tell you that the most important, most critical somewhere is geography. I have my wonderful little globe. It's somewhere here. You must be familiar with geography. You must. So this is incredible. These areas, again, form the European Union is, again, this only shared land border with Africa. And Morocco claims both territories, while Spain considers them integral parts of the country. This is something which is unique to the rest of the world. We have solid, this is ours, this is yours. But as you know, especially when it comes to Crimea, when it comes to Russia, Ukraine, it's Russian, but it isn't by name. Anyway, the sudden influx of this has become more than some kind of an immigration crisis. It's becoming a diplomatic, a geopolitical confrontation, and a harbinger of the future. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, they are thriving on this. And when the midterms come around and the Republicans lose and the Democrats take over, you're going to see an attack on order, the likes of which you've never seen. What we saw before with the white plains and borders was just an amuse bouche. It was a tantalizing little morsel. It was an hors d'oeuvre of what's to come. I'm everybody knows this. And Spanish officials also, by the way, suggest that traffickers exploited a recent court ruling requiring immigrants or aliens arriving by sea to receive individual legal processing rather than immediate removal. So critics also, by the way, blame Spain's decision to legalize roughly 500,000 undocumented illegals, arguing that it created a powerful incentive for further crossings. And other people suspect, by the way, that Morocco deliberately relaxed border laws and enforcement to pressure Madrid, as it reportedly did during a smaller 2021 crisis. And the possible motives include Spain's renewed relationship with Algeria, Morocco's regional rival, and also, by the way, disagreements over Western Sahara. So I'm throwing names at you. You're not going to hear on Fox News. And Spain deployed soldiers, by the way, and additional police, while Morocco eventually reinforced its border. So thousands reportedly returned voluntarily. But the crisis has exposed how quickly Europe's external frontier can collapse under coordinated pressure. And that's what's happening right now. And if you think for some reason that we are immune from this because we're the United States, this can't happen to us. That kind of thinking, my friend, is what will kill us. They are destroying everything that appears to be order. Everything. They whirled back. The shadow government, the globalists, work best when there is a complete and total destruction of authority and order, a discombobulation of borders. Border is security, is identity, is rational, is law and order. You're seeing this right now. And if you think that I'm one of these people that just loves to, again, to augur, here we go, augur, to predict the future, that I just love to say everything's going to be awful, you're wrong. It kills me to say this. I hate to say this. I want order. I want law. I don't want war. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of this nonsense anymore. I don't want this. It's a very, very simple. I'm a very, very, very simple person. That's all I want. I just want there to be order. I want there to be rules. So when I tell you something, my friends, let me just say something. Sometimes when we talk about gold, by the way, I told you I have the best, watch this interview. Micah Hintz, brilliant. It's right up there. It's in the Noble Gold. It looks like an ad, It's a great product, by the way. If you want to invest in gold or silver or metals, convert 401ks. You know that. You've seen so many of them. Noble Gold is sincerely the best. I've known them for years. But this interview, oh my God, everything is changing drastically. Are you able to handle this? Are you able to keep up with this? Where are you going to go for the news? Where are you going to go for the news? Where were you going to go? Where? Who is going to be the next iteration of this? By the way, you know who's a terrific newsman, young man? Rex Jones, Alex's son. Phenomenal. Harrison Smith, phenomenal. Younger people, a new contingents, new battalions of analysts in the world. We need this so drastically because information is the currency. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's not crypto, it's information. That's the currency. That's what will keep you alive and well. Now, we have seen, I cannot play for you again. I was going to you, but I can't. We have seen the rooftop Rorschach test of whatever this thing is, whatever it's supposed to be, whether it's Bigfoot or what, I don't know. Um, but uh, but I have I have been probably as tired of this as you, because it's the same thing. And I want to say over and over again, from the viewpoint of the prosecution, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference. It's not important. And that may bother people. When I say this to people, I'm saying, no, no. See, let me explain something. This is one of the things which is so critical about being a lawyer, being law trained, and being a trial work, and knowing issue analysis. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about. How many times have you, in your life, had an argument with a spouse or a child or a relative, and they don't know how to stick to the case? They don't know how to stick to the facts of the case. They talk about everything but the facts of the case. They talk about what happened last Christmas, what you did the other day, what you did, why you were involved. All of these things, they never seem to want to stick with the idea of, how do I say this, of what happened. And it's very, very easy for people to do this sometimes, because issue analysis is the most difficult thing. What are we talking about? What's the issue? What's the goal? What's the purpose of this? What are we arguing about? We're arguing about whether I was late or you was late, or you were mad. Not what happened last Christmas. Not what happened at the Christmas party. Not what happened with your brother-in-law and all. I mean, just that's usually the way people. I'm sorry to say it. It's the way a lot of people fight. And fight should not be a fight. It should be an analysis. It should be a very, very simple exercise in what happened, in the truth. And I hope you don't mind me just saying this, but if you really want to get by in life, if you really want to do well, be able to apply issue analysis and ask yourself a very, very simple question. What the hell are we talking about? What really matters and what really doesn't? Because it's difficult for people to see. Now, for purposes of this trial, and this is the good news, Tyler Robinson is not guilty and will not be found guilty unless somebody buys off the jury or holds the jurors hostage or threatens somebody, because he is not guilty and cannot, under any rational thought, be made to be found guilty. You can't do it. You can't. And I know people, I was watching, there was an interview with, it might have been with Alex, and there's another feller who's pretty good. I like his stuff. He has the hat backwards. Forgive me for not knowing all this. He was, Valhalla VFT. Is that his name? Very good. Sometimes very, very good. Has some good things to say. Everybody's got some great stuff for the most part, for the most part. But he was saying, well, Alex, I hate to tell you something, but I think that there's going to be a jury. There's going to be a jury who will come along, and the jury will be so contaminated and and the jury will be so tainted. Stop this jury tainting nonsense. Stop it. Stop it. You can go into a jury and you can think a lot of things. You can think, I know all about this case. And then when you sit in, you realize, oh my God. As soon as you realize, I didn't know that. Do you think juries say, oh, no, that's not what I thought before. See, I thought that Tyler was this and that, and I don't change my mind. No. People don't do that. Sometimes people might go in there thinking, I don't think Tyler did it at all. And then you realize, oh my God, did he ever? Happened with O.J. Simpson. When I was in the Santa Monica courtroom and sat in the courtroom with O.J. and the family, and I thought, I didn't know half of this. I say, oh my God. The things that did not come into play, and O.J. had to testify because it was a civil case. Oh, I didn't recognize what I was seeing. It was incredible. I didn't recognize any of it. It's like, my God. So I just want to tell you a couple of things here, which is very, very important. And I want you to know this because a lot of good people are saying some things, and they may know a lot about ballistics, and they may know a lot about, guns and 30-06, and that's wonderful. It's fantastic. And that's so interesting. But it has nothing to do with what we're talking right here. Because this is what I want you to understand and grasp, which is very, very important. If the alleged murder weapon, the 30-06, cannot be conclusively tied to the fatal shot or shots, this case is headed towards an immediate acquittal. The rifle is not some decorative exhibit. It is the prosecutor's central physical causal link between Tyler Robinson and the killing. It is the link. If the state cannot prove that this weapon fired the fatal projectile, it cannot complete the chain it has repeatedly presented and promised as the foundation of the case. Does that make sense? Good. That failure, and this is to everybody listening, that failure and that failure alone infects everything else. DNA on a rifle may show contact, but it doesn't prove the rifle was used in the murder. I've said it before. There could be Tyler's DNA on a bazooka that's found there, on a flintlock, on a Browning automatic rifle, a BAR. Possession may raise suspicion, certainly, but suspicion is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And text messages and disputed statements and Discord this and blurry images and theories about movement and all this stuff cannot substitute for competent forensic evidence identifying the actual murder weapon. The prosecution cannot ask a jury to assume the most important fact in the case or just say, oh, we don't really have this. Now, this is why the endless discussions about jury contamination and publicity and venue become largely beside the point. An untainted jury cannot repair inconclusive ballistics. A change of venue cannot manufacture a firearm identification. And more so, careful judicial instructions cannot transform speculation into scientific proof. And the prosecution shows a theory. It shows a theory. The prosecution shows a theory. Robinson fired a particular rifle, and that rifle caused the fatal wound. That's what they said. I didn't say that. That's not what Candace said. Nobody said that. And once the state makes that claim, it must prove it. It's locked in. If the bullet fragments cannot be matched to the recovered weapon, the defense doesn't need to solve the crime, doesn't need to identify some other shooter or explain every suspicious circumstance. It need only demonstrate the obvious reasonable doubt. The government cannot establish that its alleged murder weapon was actually the murder weapon. And that's not jury nullification. It's not sympathy. It's not politics. It's the ordinary operation of the burden of proof. And by the way, without the ballistic connection, the state has basically a collection of accusations surrounding a missing forensic link. That is not enough for lawful conviction. It is the architecture of acquittal. That is what will happen. And I cannot say this enough. And I just want to remind you of this. And you can have all the experts you want, you can have all the people you want, and none of this matters. I want to say hello to Liggy Lights, who is such a delightful person. I'm going to send this shout out. We love you as well. This is the kind of love out there. So many great people, so many wonderful people that I feel like I've known over the year, much like yourself, much like you. Now, let me explain something to you. What if you ask yourself, can there ever be some kind of a case in which the fragments are inconclusive? Yeah. And does that matter? I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example. Forgive me for this, but just to make the point. This is my lint brush. This is and this shoots. This is a lint brush. This is the gun. If I am standing there and people see me and I reach over and I deposit the cylinder in this poor hapless victim, and for some reason the fragments are not collected or goes right through, there's nothing to collect, the bullet disintegrates, it can't be found, that's okay. We don't need that. That's okay. Why? Because I'm standing there. Plus, there's powder. People saw it. He had it in his hand. That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that. But why do we need that here? Because the gun was far away. Because nobody saw it. Nobody saw it except these fanciful fabulists who believe that they saw this kind of connection made, and it wasn't. This isn't one of those cases. You're going to say, well, how did we do this? How do we know he killed him? Well, they found a weapon, as opposed to, no, he was standing over the woman like this, and we saw it. Or there's powder. Oh my God, they just fired this gun. Or look at this, he's got blood splatter on him, or he's got gunpowder. I mean, fragments only apply when there's no connection made. When you're going to say, well, where's the gun? Trust me, he had it, and we found it. You see what I'm saying? You don't always need fragments. You don't always need to recover. Sometimes things aren't recovered. Sometimes it goes right through. Sometimes this goes, and I don't know where it goes. You don't need it. That's not one of these cases. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? Because it's important that you do this, because all of this other talk is just, I don't know what we're talking about. Now remember, for purposes of the movie, then we want to know about all this. I love the idea about the identity of the medical examiner and his wife, and did they remove people from the emergency room? Oh my God, it's a great story. Irrelevant to the purposes of the prosecution. We're never going to get to. It's never going to come up. It's never going to come up. Exploding mics, never going to come up. Never. Never. Unless under the weirdest sense of impeachment or whatever. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? Remember what I'm telling you. This is he's not guilty. You can't get around this. You can say, let's do a motion to dismiss right now. You can't get around this. And if the judge says, well, prosecutor, what do you say? How are you going to establish this? Well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I'm not trying to show anything. See, O.J. Simpson was good because that was really a circumstantial case. Blood on him, blood on this, his blood in the Bronco. Nobody really saw it, or did they? That was kind of an interesting, that was a bit of a circumstantial case. So was this. It was different. But he did it. It just was how not one person would just say, hey, that's O.J. Simpson. I mean, you know? So remember, see, somebody says the actual weapon that shot Charlie Kirk was inside the tent and removed within 3 minutes, but the guy stood on the chair. Okay, fine. You understand that may be true. That has nothing to do with the case here. It has nothing to do with the case, with the trial. It's nothing to do with that. You're right. Could very well be. You understand that? You're in the first ring. You're into the what happened, who was responsible, with the reason, what was the motivation. That's one particular issue. That's not what we're talking about here. Does that make any sense? Good. That's all. And what's interesting is that irrespective of this, it's people forget the issue. The issue is either, are we talking about what happened, the trial, or we could talk about other stuff. We could talk about Andrew picked up the phone and called Neff, who called up Turek or Tourette or whatever, and he called this one. That's interesting. It doesn't have anything to do with the prosecution, but it's interesting. That might go to show a lot of other things, the idiocy. unless you have a theory that perhaps they might have inadvertently killed Charlie by virtue of their bad behavior. Let me just tell you something which is so. I'm going to stop for just a second. My friends, we as citizens of the world must say that we've got to be able to handle many, many, many different issues simultaneously. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Shannon Robertson. You are unbelievably entertaining. Thank you. Are you not able to believe? I cannot believe that this man is entertaining. No, I'm serious. I cannot believe this. I know that's not what you meant. You ever wonder about that when somebody says, I cannot believe? Well, he says I'm unbelievably. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. Is it? Was it really? I don't know. Did it mean that? There's all these wonderful things. Shannon, I appreciate them. I'm just busting your balls, which is physically impossible. But you know, sometimes we have these songs. Remember these wonderful songs? You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? Right. You're everything I hope for. You are so beautiful to me. To the rest of the world, you're a gargoyle. But to me, I love that. What about people? People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. What? What does it even mean? I don't even know what that means. But let's go back into this. I am not somebody, and this Spain thing is just, did you see what is happening? It is coming here. And I don't know who's going to be listening. I don't know if Trump's into it or Marco Rubio or the Democrats. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no earthly idea what's happening. The Republican Party is collapsing. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know. So that's one story. There is another story. May I tell you a story which is so bothersome to me? And I shouldn't be, but this is it's so strange. I've been wondering about this. There is a book. Well, there's a story. AI companies are basically buying antique books, ingesting their contents to train models, and then destroying them. Did you see this story? This is one of the most. This is so horrid. I don't know if you saw this, but they're taking books that were written before 2022, roughly 2022, before there were before there was ChatGPT, before there was AI. And what they need to do is they need to ingest, they need to read, they need to review how human beings speak on a regular basis and how they write. And they have to have everything that is completely and totally uncontaminated. They want to know what is precisely the way humans think and write, so we can learn how to predict words and we can learn how to put these things together. So what they did was they took books before 2000, well before, antique books, ancient books that people found, old books, used books with a name in it, people who wrote in the margins, people who had note Bibles. And what they did was they took the book and they sliced the spine. They basically amputated. It was like a guillotine. They chopped the spine, the binding. The binding itself is a work of art, thus loosening all of these pages so they could put the pages one after another into machines where they could scan them, read them, and then in these LLMs, these large learning models, they would take that information and see how people thought, how people predicted words. They had to get books before the advent, because you're thinking, why don't you just go online? Why don't you just go on computers and just take newspapers? No, because it's contaminated. Did you know that after World War II, after the dropping of the bomb, that all steel even has remnants of radioactivity? I mean, you have to go to like the bottom of the ocean. I mean, I'm serious. It's like, it's that blew me away. So they took these beautiful books that you have, and to me, a book is a book you write in. You mark. You don't put them in. Some people have a book on a shelf and you just look at it. Don't break the spine. No, you want it dog-eared. You want it leathered. You want to see a coffee stain. You want to see your name. And they took them and they destroyed them. They destroyed all of them. They just obliterated them. And they could never put them back because it's just too expensive. And the story was out and nobody cared about it. Nobody even paid any attention to it at all. Isn't that something? It blew me away. And what even made me sadder, I can't explain to people why this means something. I can't explain why this. It's not like an album. I don't know what the word is. We're losing our humanity, and we're losing the idea of why things that have been around, why antiquities and antiquarian devices and they mean something. We have here in New York every year at the Armory a book that you've got to see this, a book sale, like a book dealer's sale, so to speak, like a flea market, not flea market, but a exposition, a display. And they have books that are so old. They have the white gloves and they're behind glass, and you have a first edition. Do you have a first edition, Principia Newtons, or, oh my God, we're losing our humanity. And we're losing our sense of order. And AI is going to destroy everything. Don't ever let people. Did you see where AI is a bust? Did you see where it's a bust? Larry Ellison, maybe there's a hedge fund that completely either over leveraged, or whatever the word is, over invested, over positioned in AI, and they're completely falling apart. AI is going to change everything. AI will one day be the juror. AI will be. AI cannot understand that if you cannot connect the gun to the ballistics and understand what reasonable doubt is, it won't be able to understand it. Kelly says, thank you, Lionel. No, Kelly, thank you. Thank you. I mean that absolutely sincerely. Thank you. Thank you. That's a very, very beautiful thing to do. It's so wonderful. I got to tell you something. We are so lucky to do what we do. You know that? Seriously. We are so lucky because we get to speak with you every single day, and we get to talk to you about things that are so much fun. Can I show you something which is really neat, which has nothing to do with, let me see. It's nothing to do with, I want to make sure I get the name of this because I think you're going to like this. I want to get the name of this. Is this it? Yes. This is called, this is called Pizza Pod NYC. And I want to show you something which is so incredible. Mrs. L and I were perambulating this evening in the eve, wondering, let's have a Friday night date. What will we do? So we came home. We're gonna say, we'll put on a little Bill Evans. We'll find something to eat. We'll sit and talk and chat. At the just do something. What will we do? Well, in our neighborhood, we have the following, and this is the greatest thing. I hope he doesn't mind me giving him, but I'm going to give him some advertising, whether he likes it or not. This is our friend Brad. This is Pizza Pod. Hang on, New York City, Pizza Pod NYC. Can you see this? This is like 54th and 10th kind of. This is in Hell's Kitchen. This is a little GT, one of these little tiny cars. He has 2 pizza ovens in the back. I should have gotten him a better one. It's called Pizza Pod NYC. Let me see. Is this it? Hang on a minute. I think it's, hang on. Pizza Pod NYC. Pizza Pod. I want to show you this thing. This is here we go. This is it. I'm going to give you his little pizza pod. Greatest guy. Oh, he's like a UFC. It was someone I was talking to him, and I immediately saw hang on a minute. This is his link. I'm just telling you this. He's got 2 ovens, 2 of these, and he says the older ovens are the hottest, and he buys them. He's got all the ingredients there. He has an agreement with like a restaurant nearby. He has an assistant. He has the dough, makes it right there for you. Whatever you want, cheese pizza, mushroom, name it. Doesn't matter. They have different style, margarita if you like that. And he does it right there at the scene. And when I talked to him, I said, I noticed he has kind of like cauliflower ears. He's a UFC mixed martial arts badass, the nicest man in any event. So that's it. This kills me. And it's this little car and the lines, everybody. I said, so I'm saying there, I said, have you ever been here before? Yes, of course. People came by and they take pictures. This is just the greatest part. This is American ingenuity. This is free enterprise. He just does it. So you'll see him. He's a terrific guy. If you're ever in the hood, if you're ever near this, if you ever see him, I just love this idea of somebody with hard work, and it doesn't take very long because the things are so hot. But it made me think like, what a great country. And you should see. It looks like remember the old Coke commercials? I like to teach the world to sing. You've got an African, they have black folks, Asian, I don't know, Japanese with their little daughter, other folks, people standing in line. It's incredible. So that was our date. That's our favorite. We brought a couple of those home, put on some Bill Evans I've been just immersed in lately. It's just so beautiful in the background. You know what else I did? Against my better judgment, against everything in me that says we got one of those Alexa things. I don't want to say it. Phenomenal. Play this. Don't play this. Do this. I have my Spotify rotation on there. And it's wonderful. And I can listen to obscure, one of the best radio stations around. Public fun, kind of public, is WBGO out of Newark. Best jazz you can imagine. It's like, because I collect old radio stations. Do you know there was a radio station in 40 years in Las Vegas that shut down? We're losing things. That's why the story of the books killed me. That's why this thing about the books. I'm becoming very, very nostalgic. I'm looking at what's going and what's not here anymore. Look at this. What did I say? Michelle Mabel. Oh, Michelle Mabel. Sorry. Hey guys, love you. Papa L. Best 4 months. Hang on. For you, my friend. Thank you. I really think it's important. Oh, WB. Hang on. Just a minute. 80 WBGO. It is WBGO. I'll just give you this right here. WBGO is 88.3 FM. Here, I'll just give you the thing. Wonderful. One of the best. I love a great, here we go. one of the best jazz stations, WBGO, and I think they take the regular contributions, but they have, oh my God, it's a great American songbook. And when you find somebody who's got it on, I've been listening more and more to, like I said, Bill Evans and other old Oscar Gilberto, Stanley Turrentine, Ahmad Jamal, my friend Monty Alexander. Have you noticed how you get into themes where you say, "Oh, I want this. I want to eat this," or I want to see a movie. I don't want to see a movie. I want to go to a. We have a library in the neighborhood, Hell's Kitchen branch of the library. We like to go in. It's just quiet, and it's a library or a library. And there's something so wonderful about people just reading and just sitting back. And the idea of books that are a form that are not merely the delivery system of the information. Listen to Sabatoni, historical power metal. I like that. Sabatoni, or Sabaton, excuse me. I'm sorry. I will do that. Livia says, humanity is great at losing things. Oh, yes. Losing things is one thing I could do well. The great Amazing Rhythm Aces song. You own. It's interesting. I've been talking more and more about this. I told you about Rex Jones and Harrison Smith and others. I want to get younger people to continue the conveyor belt. I want to have a. You're gonna think I'm really nuts. And I tell people this, and I want to have a summer camp, not a camp where people stay, but where parents and young people go, and I'm the instructor. And I start off by saying, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I don't even care. I vote because I feel like I have to. But if you don't vote, I kind of don't, I understand why. But I have to be a participant. But I don't know what I am. I have no name for what this is. You might think I'm conservative with this, you might think I'm conservative with that, or libertarian with this, or progressive with this. That's up to you. I don't care. It's like when people start they'll define things like, "Ooh, I like this. I like this kind of aftertaste. It's got a back of throat feel." Just eat the damn thing. Quit talking about why people believe things. But right now, the world, the idea of the order that keeps the rats in the maze, they're lifting the maze up, and the rats are scurrying. I don't want to compare them to rats. Many of these people are human beings. They don't mean any harm, but a lot of them are men. And there is a form of man today that will scour the earth and that will do, how do I say this? It will, sad to say, it will be in it. They treat women like nothing. Women are trash to them. They grab them, they hurt them, they attack them, they do a lot of things, and they're terrible, terrible, terrible people. And I don't know what it is where they come from. I don't know. I don't really care. But they are left off. And when it comes to trafficking, they are the trafficker's trafficker. And it's happening all over the world. And they don't seem to care. Now, in my summer class, I would say, does this bother anyone? Yes, it does. Congratulations. You're what? A conservative? Liberals have daughters. There is a war against women. You know, this manosphere, whatever, this Tate nonsense. I despise these people. I despise this. And I hate the way that there's a move right now, a big move, that equates masculinity with being merely heterosexual or being somehow tough and not a wuss, not a soy boy. But then again, there are people that I've known who are gay, who I would trust with children or trust with anything. They're not predators. They're gentlemen. They have class. They're educated. They're smart. I know heterosexual men who I wouldn't trust with anything. Their word means nothing. They're unfaithful to their wives, but they do a lot of pull-ups and push-ups, and they do steroids, and they have, large quads. Somehow they feel like that conveys kind of the Bobby Kennedy school of thinking. Do you think Bobby Kennedy, would you let your daughter go out with Bobby Kennedy? No way. Not on your life. I'm not saying he's a Tate brother, but he is, by virtue of his life, how he has a book where he has kept track of the women he's bedded. Oh, come on. So anyway, we now take everything that we have here. There are hordes of these swarms of men and women who are just horrid men who would victimize people. This is all over the world. They come from areas of the world. They come from cultures that, now listen, that's fine in your culture. I don't abide that. But for you to inject them into my culture and expect me to sit back and allow this to happen because you have this feeling of what again? I'm not really sure. Opening your heart and your mind to this. We had a mayor by the name of Eric Adams who would stand at the Port Authority handing out money or bank cards and backpacks. You mark my words. When the Democrats take over again, they're going to unleash a torrent of horror, the likes of which you can't even imagine. I have a friend named Zamet who says, Ketanji Brown Supreme Court could not define what a woman is. How can we protect what we can't define? I don't know. There are people, and let me just tell you this. There are people, and I thank you for this. There are people who have lived in the world who I truly believe will tell you, they will tell you, and I believe them, that they will say, I feel like a woman. I want to dress like a woman. I don't know about surgery. I know you may not like this. I feel like I'm in the wrong body, and I believe them. But they are a man, biologically. But there was my wife, Mrs. L, is watching The Midwives or something on Netflix. It's like fourth. Every time I walk in the bedroom, she's, are you watching love this? She loves this. And they had a case of a woman who had recessed or latent or crypto or occult, so to speak, testicles. Her testes had not descended. They were internal. She was, for all practical purposes, technically speaking, a man, but looked like a woman identified. Now, what do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? Psychologically, socially, we can understand this. Here's the problem with that. Speaking of Ketanji Brown Jackson, when that person decides, like this Brittany Griner, have you seen Brittany Griner? If that's not a thyroid cartilage, I don't know what is. But when that person decides to play sports and to use inordinate strength compared to the average woman and speed, that's when I say no. That's when I say, this is common sense. Stop. This is sports. This is a different story. That's it. Stop it. This is a different issue. No, you cannot have, I don't care. This person could be so feminine. By the way, I don't know. I watch this, part of my YouTube rotation, where there is there was a man, I think it's a man, when I first saw it, I didn't notice, but dressed as a woman who's a piano teacher, classical piano teacher, and she's fantastic. And I believe in her heart of hearts, and I would say you are a woman, and I will treat you like a woman, and you look like a woman, and that's it. So yes, it'd be hard for me to define in that concept what the purposes of a man or woman was socially, experientially, aesthetically. Okay, it's like the word sometimes old. Are you old? Well, I don't feel old. Well, you are old. You're 93 years old, but I don't feel old. You're old, but I don't feel it. Okay. You can also say, you are a man. I don't feel like a man. Okay, but you are, but that's okay. Whatever you want to say is fine with me. I will abide to that. I will tolerate that. I will open the world for you. That's okay. You should not be deprived of anything merely because you do this. However, when something truly becomes requiring of a gender classification because of whatever, then we have to talk. But for Ketanji, whatever, to not know how to define a man or a woman, that's not what people meant. That wasn't the context of this. It was a very, very simple thing. How about this person who menstruates through his colon? I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry to say that. But somebody actually said this. This is demented. You're just trying to gain attention or cause a ruckus. That's just absurd. Stop it. Just please. Stop this nonsense. I know that's difficult for people to understand. But that's okay. That's there. As long as it doesn't affect children, I really don't care what you do. And I mean it. I think this is maybe the libertarian part of us. Maybe this is what we all think. But live and let live. Do whatever you want to do. But let me tell you something right now. We are looking at a very, very serious situation where there are some dangerous people in the world who want to do some dangerous stuff. And if you don't see this, let me tell you something that's so interesting. You know what I fear the most? I don't fear, I'll tell you right off the bat here. I don't fear people swarming my coasts or my, whatever. I fear there being a disruption of law and order and people who are already here rise, like the classic yeast infection analogy, where a woman takes antibiotics, all of a sudden, Monilla candida takes off, lactobacillus dies, and you get, you have these swarming, fungating yeast infections, brutal, because of the good bacteria killed off. Well, in a system where the good folks are killed off, or where law and order, kind of like AIDS, where this immune system is removed, I'm worried about that. I'm worried about stores closing, me needing guns, looking out the window and saying, oh my God, who are those people in our neighborhood? I don't know, because bad people don't stay in their neighborhood. They go looking. And if there's no cops, they're going to say, where can we go? Where can we loot? And all of a sudden somebody pulls in front of your house and you say, who are these people? And you go, Mom, Dad, they're walking up the driveway. Who are these people? And they mean business. And there's no 911 to call. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Let's say there's a disruption. The people are showing up at grocery stores, looking a little bit kind of angry, maybe because of deliveries, maybe there's a supply chain problem. Insurance companies shut down. They tell Walmart or Trader Joe's or Acme or whoever it is, Piggly Wiggly or Publix, close down. Our insurance carrier won't let us stay in business because somebody's going to be hurt, because we know there's going to be riots and there's going to be swarm people coming in, and they shut down the grocery store. Then you ask somebody, how long can you go without eating? And people will say, one time I did this and somebody said, I've got a fishing pole. That's great. I have a Ouija board. What does that have to do with anything? You're going to go out and you're going to fish for bream, as it were? No. What do you have? Banana chips and what? Jerky? What are you talking about? Well, I've got some beans. Beans? You're going to go a month with this? Forget, how about a week? It's a week. We can't do this. Do you know that in the state, your state's probably the same way. In the state of New Jersey, all of the wires are old fashioned. They're above. They're above the ground. They're not underneath because they so they're on poles and they, the power lines. And if there is a snow or a wind or something, and trees knock over, tear down wires, or they have to call, Con Ed to go out there and it's archaic. What happens if there was no power? What if there was no internet? Do you know what that would be like? No internet? No internet? Nothing? So whoever wants to come after us, save your time going after things like power systems and structures. Just knock out our internet. We will kill each other. We will kill each other. It's that simple. There's a reason why I tell you this. And the reason why I bring this up is very, very simple, because everything that I'm telling you is true. And you better listen. I mean, it could happen, and it's a very frightening thing. And sometimes I always think to myself, God, I hope nobody thinks I'm saying this just to be one of these scary types. Because some people love to do, it's going to be end of the world. I don't know if it's going to be end of the world. No, but this is going to be something which is so scary and so horrifying. What exactly do you think is going to happen next? Who do you think looks out for us? Let me ask you a better question. Does anybody in Washington care anything? Mrs. L was on the phone today talking about, I do not understand enough of the DC nomenclature to understand what she is upset about. She was very upset. Whether this was a markup, whether they're going to go on recess, or they're going to kick it down the road, or we're going to wait till. We live in a world where we're still not even sure if Mitch McConnell is alive. This is where we are right now. So I'm wondering who is in charge of anything. And what's happening? This is really, I'm telling you, it's wild. And nobody really wants to talk about it. And if anybody liked President Trump at first or didn't like him, I think he's on his way out. Because he is doing nothing that seems to be, this isn't the Donald Trump I even know. Is there anybody right now? And I'm serious, and I don't mean, and I am a Donald Trump fan. I loved Donald Trump. I'm not a fair weather friend. I'm not one of these people who just changes my mind, because I loved when Trump was, running for office. I really do. But let me ask you something. Is there anyone now listening, watching me right now, who thinks that Donald Trump is doing a great job and that he is just at the top of his game? He has nothing to worry about. He is doing just fantastic. And you could not be any more pleased of Donald Trump. Is there anybody who feels like this? And please don't feel bad if you do. Anybody who feels? Anybody? Somebody said he changed after Drew Butler. Something happened. That's people are saying that's not Trump. You see what I'm saying? See, I want to listen to you because you're the voice of this country. I'm listening to you. You're not fair weather friends. You're not. By the way, I don't think you've never been this kind of a crazed lunatic Trumpian. What's the word? Some kind of a crazed Trump, acolyte. But for you to say it, you're feeling this. Alex Jones and others are talking about the 25th Amendment, which I've told you a million times. It's not going to happen. It just can't. Vice President, the cabinet, it's not going to happen. It sounds nice. Maybe it's just frustration. But something is wrong here. And right now, let me ask you something. If I put a coalition up, I said, listen, I got a new party here. And whether it's a third party or a second party, I don't know. But on the board of directors, so to speak, I've got Candace Owens. You might throw in Alex Jones. It's up to you. Joe Kent, Thomas Massey, MTG, Tulsi Gabbard, Rand Paul, maybe. Whatever. I don't know. But But this is a new group of people. I would vote to them in a heartbeat, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? TD, by the way, said very good point. TD brings up an excellent point. TD says he did shut down the investigation to his real or attempted assassination, whatever it was. I doubt you take 300 mil and think you can fuck around and find out. You know, everybody. If I could meet with the president, I would say, Mr. President, there were people who a couple of years ago would have said, absolutely, positively, 100%, you, Mr. President, are bought and sold and owned by Israel. You are bought, owned, whole cloth, 100% by Israel. As Leon, as Lindsey Graham would say. And Mr. President, these are not anti-Semites, I promise you. These are not people. There are people who might have said, well, you might have been bought and sold by NAFTA or by neocons or whatever it was. So don't, it doesn't work with us. But we feel, and they feel, that the only reason you're even talking about Iran is because you have made a deal with them and that they have, maybe they've got something. You know, a lot of people are saying that they think they've got pictures of you and Epstein and or members of your family or something, and that you're the blackmail they're talking about. You are. And Mr. President, we don't believe that's true. But people, I want you to know this is what people are saying. And they're saying, well, they're saying, well, we don't have obviously, direct proof of that. But it wouldn't surprise me because that at least kind of makes sense. Mr. President, this doesn't make any sense to you. When you have Bibi Netanyahu and Zelensky both come to the White House, do you know, sir, how this looks? Do you have any idea of what this looks like? Mr. President, what do I tell the American people? What can you say to assuage their feeling? And by the way, there's another group of people who find and believe that the monies that you and your family seek to and are looking to make are so obscene that that you actually had the unmitigated gall to look at Hunter Biden's finger paintings as being that big of a deal. Jaco Shono says, why does J.D. Vance have a Jewish chief of staff? Listen, having a Jewish chief of staff, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that's a Zionist or something. More Jewish folks I know are absolutely, positively, completely, many of them are atheists to begin with. Number two, being Jewish, at least here in New York, it's a culture thing. It's like being Italian. They can't speak Italian, never been to Italy, but they feel Italian. And not everybody has this affinity to Israel and are not BB fans. So don't just disqualify people. Don't think that, you're Jewish. Well, you're a member of the tribe and therefore you can't be trusted. Don't think that. You can raise your suspicion, maybe ask them some questions, but don't do that. You're going to make a big mistake because believe me, I know more Jews here, and there's probably more in New York than, I don't know, most places. Many will say they've never been to Israel. They don't really, they're not observant. It's not what you think. Because I've got news for you. Some of the biggest people you might want to be concerned about, if this is where you're so inclined, are Christian Zionists. People who believe, based upon eschatology and based upon the end of times and based upon biblical ideology and the like, they look at Zionism as a means of bringing that particular part of biblical prophecy to light. There's another group of people, by the way, interestingly enough, you never hear about these folks. These are actual anti-Semites who say, oh, this is great. No, really, Zionism. Hey, yeah, go. Remember years ago, there was the repatriation where where there was this movement, this black going back to Africa. And the joke was, well, insult, I guess many people said, hey, I'm for that 100%. Go. Go now. Go. Well, some people say they don't like Jews or Judaism, and they want you to go back there. But they'll hide it. By the way, eschatology. It's the oldest pun in the world. I believe Donald Trump never cared about the average American citizen. It seems he campaigned off what the people wanted to hear with zero intention to fulfill. My dear friend, my dear friend, what a wonderful observation. If, however, what you were saying is true, congratulations. This is the 1 millionth time this has happened at every level of politics. People who say what they think you want to hear. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. When I hear Donald Trump talk about the no forever wars, it almost made me cry. I thought, that's the man I want to know. That's the man I want to elect. That's the man. That's Donald Trump. That's my Donald Trump. And now this, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Look at this. This is very interesting. Van Horncorey says, in my life, I'm 50. I can't find one thing the government has done to benefit my livelihood. Your livelihood, you mean your business or whatever it is, to benefit you? Which is interesting. Well, believe it or not, the roads that you are on, the lights, the power, garbage pickup, public libraries, public schools, sometimes public hospitals, the police, fire department, that's all government. And you might not say that's the best, but that's not private. That's not private enterprise. That's government. That might be socialism. Now, there was a time when other people after World War II, the GI Bill, put people to work, put people through college. City University of New York was one of the most profoundly important colleges. So, public schools today, I'm not really sure. Government is not anything other than as a natural extension of those rudimentary and basic understood things that we would like to accomplish, so we can use ancillary support systems to accomplish that. Sanitation, water treatment, when you flush your toilet and whatever you've deposited goes somewhere and somebody takes it and removes it and purifies it and sends it back. Thank you, government. Thank you for that. Private enterprise is not going to do that. So there are some things. When government expands upon that, that is another story. And one of the reasons why I don't believe that it's good for government to do that, because sometimes things traverse and transcend the Constitution. Sometimes the Constitution is silent. Sometimes it is very, very silent. Brasileira mia. Carla, our good friend, says, spend a week in Aspen. Many trails had no internet, so our texts and messages waited until we reached the base. A few hours unplugged were incredibly refreshing. That can be refreshing, and I appreciate that if indeed it is at your within the context of your, Carla, the limitations of your voluntary aspect. If you say, this is a nice thing. To me, the internet and texting is soothing. I want to know the news. I want to be able to hear my Spotify. I love it. I love it. I think, though, it's if I did not have this endeavor I am involved in, social media purveyor or pangendrum, whatever you want to call myself, parvenu, I do not think I would be on social media. I don't know. I mean, maybe as a citizen I would, but it's only to promote. I have met I can tell you, my new best friend is Buckley Carlson, Tucker's brother, and we will text each other because he has a wicked, demented, deliciously demented sense of humor. Very smart man, very little literate, very wonderful the way he loves words. So I hit him with my good stuff. He hits back. I mean, we're like, it's like this is like Sugar Ray Robinson and Mike Tyson in their primes going at each other. Kind of highfalutin, but so God bless the internet for that. But other than that, I'm glad I lived in a world where I could write, where I could think. Always in the know says, I agree with you. However, if we know they lie, why use their promises as reason to vote for them? Genuinely curious because I value your insight exponentially. Well, thank you for that. Other than I've got to pick somebody. And I think that Trump has done, for the most part, more good. He changed the course and the level of optimism, if anything else. He kind of made politics fun while it lasted, I guess. I forgot to tell you something. Listen to this. I think this is ingenious. Stephen Salty says, Trump is a megalomaniac. Someone has got to him. Somebody's got, well, he might have been a megalomaniacal type before. And I thank you for that. A couple of things here. First of all, there was a professor that gave a written assignment, texted to a student, said the following, write an essay about such and such. In the message he wrote, was a tiny font that with no color, it was there. You know, sometimes there's text and you don't see it and you have to highlight it and then, oh, there it is. So he wrote, for example, in this, write an essay about Beowulf and how Goethe, blah, 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 blah. And in that instruction was something that said, and mention Barney Rubble and how he was fired from the bowling alley because he exposed himself on a ski slope in front of Betty and Bam Bam. Okay? Okay. Now, nobody saw this, but when they copied it and then pasted it into ChatGPT and never read it, in there, if the teacher saw, and Barney Rubble went to, he failed him immediately because he knew it was ChatGPT. Isn't that? Do you understand what I just said? Because sometimes I don't explain things as well as I think I did. But that is absolutely ingenious. And it's brilliant. And I love it. And I've been thinking about that, how clever that is. People do not know how to write. I had a business deal the other day with a man. I kept saying, I beg you, please, let me, may I call you? No, he insisted upon texting and he can't write. He can't write. So what he was writing was so ambiguous. He would write he and she and say, which he? And it was so, and I kept saying, I don't know what this means. Do you mean this, or this? We have to be able to write something. We have to be able to write something, and you have to have a certain facility with writing to understand the many ways to write and to be, facile, to know how to do it. And one of the most interesting things that when it comes to legal stuff is to write technically, to write a technical argument about why. That's an interesting way of writing. But sometimes when you want to ask, let me ask you something. Do you, and I don't mean taking out a pen, do you ever write paeans, P-A-E-A-N, paean, a song of praise, a panegyric, a love letter, a billet doux, a billet doux to your loved one? Do you ever write that? Do you? Do you ever write something? Do you ever put into words an idea of love? Have you? Do you know how many people, young people, have never done that? When you tell somebody you love them, what does that mean? What does it even mean? You love somebody. Well, why? I love you. Okay, fine. Can you give me a hint as to why? Well, why? It'll be I love you. How do I love you? Let me count the ways. Robert Browning or whatever. No, I'm not talking about that. Just explain it. What do I do? What do you do? What do you see? What do you want? What captivates you about this love? They can't do it. They have no idea. They have a feeling, but they can't explicate. They can't L-A-M-N. They can't adduce, extemporize. Why? Just tell me why. Can't do it. And in order for you to write means you understand what you're thinking. And if you really can't, sometimes the reason why we can't write is not because we're really not good writers, it's because we really don't understand what it is. We haven't thought it out yet. We haven't written it. Writing is so critical. So I don't want to sit there and expound upon the obvious, but it is true. My dear friends, on this, the last day of the month of July, with August is here. And this month, of course, I approach my 68th year, and I expect parties, tribal sacrifice, a lot of things. I don't know what the hell that means. Anyway, so that's coming up. But in the meantime, thank you for your kindness. Thank you so much for your thoughts, for your well wishes, for your kindness, for your contributions. Another month with you is wonderful. I am honored. You honor me with your praise. You've honored me with your presence. You've honored me with your love. And you've honored me with the incredible opportunity to grace the portals of this very humble presentation of mine with your kindness and your generosity and your interest and your commitment to the truth. I mean that. I am honored to know you, my most approved friend. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. Up. And Leslie, by the way, Leslie watches says, I love you. I love you too, Leslie. I love you like the air loves the breeze, because the air is the medium of which the breeze exhibits its power, its presence, its visage. All right, dear friends, I love you. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Don't forget, until then, my friends, remember, as we always end, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.